che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Il gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 73 of Milanistas 360. I hope everyone enjoyed that intro. So that's something new that we've started with this channel. And yeah, just to introduce our amazing hosts for today, myself, all the way from Southeast Asia, Husni here. And we have Shane in the house and also Lab Gorilla.
Buongiorno, everyone. Hi, hope everyone's all right. Shane, give you a minute to swallow a bit of that drink that you've been having.
Yeah, sorry. Not the best way to start the
Nah,
pod.
cool,
I was swinging down fucking a bottle of water. All right.
We're all set. We're all
Anyway.
set. Got a lot to cover. We've got a few games to review, guys. Quite a few. Didn't quite realize that our schedule was so heavy. Did you?
Yeah, well, we expected, especially not doing that well in the Champions League, so we're bound to have a lot more games stacked up after what happened.
Yeah, that's true. 2 more added, isn't it?
That's it. The extra play, the playoffs now as well, yeah.
All right, so we've got a show for you. Quite a lot to, as Lab Gorilla mentioned, we've got so many topics and a lot of great content for everyone. And thanks for those who are already joining us, especially those in the UK time zone. Maybe it's quite early for you, especially for the host that we have, two of us, having a very early Sunday morning. So for those who are maybe a bit younger after partying, you might still be asleep, but yeah, catch us when after the stream is done on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So yeah, what do we have for our first topic?
Right. So we've entitled this one "All Aboard the Milan Hype Train." You know, our transfer window's finished. We're going to have a quick look at the players that have brought in during the transfer window. Is the hype something to be backed, or is it time to kind of wait and have a look? Want to hear all of your opinions on it. We're also going to do game reviews because we've got quite a few games and quite a few different perspectives, I believe, when we look at the games individually. So let's have a look here. Let's move to the next slide. Right. So the Milan derby, this could be a distant memory, guys. So we were coming into this game and look, Inter were on 5 straight wins. We had 3 draws and a win on either side of it. So the game we were thinking, I think Shane and Husney, Husney, were the one that was positive. So I think we should listen to you quite a bit more. Shane, you and I were saying we're going to get absolutely mullered because basically
And
half
we
the
did.
squad had been.
We did.
Yeah.
We absolutely got destroyed.
We did get destroyed. Yeah. I'm glad that you're not hiding that. But yeah, we really, we're thinking half the squad has basically been put up for sale. Surely they're not going to try very hard because they must be demoralized at the moment. And game started. Things are a little bit, you can tell that Inter were a little bit nervous against us. They kind of like wary of the fact that, we had beaten them twice earlier. But soon enough, they started to take over the game. And we, however, scored a counter-attack goal. And I thought, oh my God, are we going to get away with what would be called a smash and grab? Guys, I think you would agree. Let's have a look at the stats on this game, so that we can kind of get a bit of a idea on it. So Inter at 62% of the ball, 19 shots on goal, 19 shots as opposed to our 5. 7 were on target as opposed to 15. Sorry, on target 7 versus 5. Shots off target, Inter had 11. So they really did not have their shooting boots on. And they had most corners. If you look at XG as well, they had a higher XG. So they really should have, as Shane said, they really should have done it. And there's another aspect to this, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But, tantalizingly close, guys. Reindeer scored a goal, went into half time and thinking, wow, this is insane. Are we going to get away with this? As Fahadinho says, a hit and run. It probably we looked like we were running in the second half, and I think Gina and Max, shout out to them and their podcast as well. Yesterday they said, when the subs came on, when they brought on their subs, is when you could see that the depth of the squad is just completely different between the two. They maintained their level and they just came at us in wave after wave. It felt that way. Don't know how it felt to you guys. Shane, maybe let's hear from you. What did you think?
I love seeing them celebrate their goal, right? Like they'd won, right? Because that's how as bad as we are literally living in their heads rent free, right?
Yes.
When they're celebrating like that, right? So, yeah, the game itself. So when your starting striker is Tammy Abraham, and you have Musa, who for some reason he's kind of still fooled people into thinking he's a professional footballer. When he's lining up for you, we can't really be surprised. We're going to talk about the MVP for this game in a moment, but I think, so 3 times, was it 3 times the ball was in the net? Fair enough, rightfully offside.
Yeah.
Right. And, other circumstances happened as well. We were completely dominated. Inter showed up. The thing is even though we're supposed to be built like this EPL team, there's no physicality in it, because you see that when we play the likes of Inter, because literally they're such a strong squad, in terms of physicality, and they just walk all over us. I have no idea, right, how they, we haven't lost to them in 3 games.
Pretty good, isn't it?
It's, there's something in the something going on, but overall, great to come away with the points. To be honest, for me, it kind of felt more like we'd gained a point as opposed to we'd lost 3 points, just because of the way that the game was going.
Yeah, I agree on that 100%.
So, yeah. What about you, Hosni? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I also thought about what happened before the Inter match. So they played Monaco and absolutely destroyed Monaco. And I think Monaco down to 10 men quite early on. Yeah. So, and I said it last week, I said the best, we play best, or maybe the outcome is the best. Not say we play best, but the outcome is the best when teams really underestimated us. So, as a lot of people said, we probably would get destroyed. And, it's a fair assessment to make, considering we didn't do well against Dynamo Zagreb and Inter was on a high. But then you started to see is that Inter, they were consecutively getting these unlucky bouts, So we somehow capitalized with that goal from Reindeers, after a bit of mess in their box. And, shot after shot, something happened where it didn't go back in the net until the 93rd minute. And you could also argue that had just one slight thing been different, we would have actually taken the 3 points. And for those who...
Yeah, if we didn't have Chukwueze on the pitch and he actually ran
not
back.
only Chukwueze, but
and people are
also that clip on YouTube where you get to see it in slow motion, the goal by Inter. So I think it was also a series of issues. Chukwueze, Tomori also with slight contact with Mike when Mike tried to clear it, and also Jimenez trying to boot it away, but not too far enough. So yeah, it was that close. But I think in the context of what's happening in the league, I think it's a win against them in another way, is that it started to impact their chances for the title run. So they're starting to sense that, okay, we should have won that easily. We didn't. Something is not going well. And what happened quite recently against Fiorentina? They took a big L. So for me, even though it's 1 point that we gained, they lost 2 points. But in the greater scheme of things, it really impacted their Scudetto. And had we won that game, I think they would be out of title race, guys. I mean, 6 points away from Napoli. You could actually write them off. So yeah, I mean, but
This is,
but
there's one
yeah, go,
interesting
Shane.
point, Jack. Right, I just want to make it to you, see what you think of it. Right, a lot of people were calling out Kyle Walker for the Inter goal, saying, "Oh, he should have been in a position that he blocked, the reef from running in." Right, but Kyle Walker had moved in central in that situation. He was no longer out in the right wing. So if you notice what happens with Kyle Walker, sometimes so he'll start in the right back position, then he'll come inside, because newsflash, we don't really have that much quality in the center of defense either. So he needs to actually move in, right? So he'd moved in at that point. So the thing is if there's one player that you can really blame in this situation, it's Kyle Walker for me.
I mean,
what do you think?
Okay, so first of all, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was Kyle Walker's first game. He just stepped into a Milan derby, played the entire game, which I think is incredible, honestly, because he wasn't exactly a regular at Man City. In one sense, it showed the lack of quality we've had on right back. The fact that he stepped in and did, for the most part, did a very, very good job, in my opinion, actually. I'm not going to blame Kyle Walker for anything in that game. One of the things that I wanted to point out, guys, is that this was Benacer's last game for us. He started the game and he was taken off basically, I think, at half-time, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Jimenez came on for him. Alex Jimenez came on for him. And Yunus Musa started this game on and played a full 78 minutes before Terracciano came on. So, this game really highlighted a few issues, but no, on the goal, I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to blame him, guys. I thought, in fact, that his contribution, this is what we wanted, really. We've got a player who's perhaps, mid-30s, and perhaps we're thinking on the downside of his career, but his knowledge, his experience would show up just how bad Calabria and Chicken Royale have been for us. And I think he did that in just his first game alone. It was, I wouldn't say remarkable, but I think impressive for a 34-year-old to come in and do that. Yeah, Hasni.
Yeah, I also want to add to that. So after everything that's happened with Calabria, Emerson Royale, so I completely agree with you. Kyle Walker is definitely an upgrade. And contrary to what I have been I expected, because I thought players like near the mid-30s and about there, they're probably coming in for retirement, the retirement paycheck of some sort. But this game and the games that we're going to talk about next, I think Kyle Walker has been quite impressive. You're right, John. And you don't have to be that much better to be our preferred right back. But beyond that, I mean, I've seen him challenge with some headers, even a little bit threatening on the goal. So yeah, it's really refreshing to see that.
Exactly. So we looked at the game and we thought, who could be the best MVP for this match? Who would we nominate as MVP for this game? And we did a lot of thinking and analysis, and we came up with Posty. He had 3
Is
interceptions.
it new signing, John?
It's a new signing, and I just pointed out here we have revived the number 3 for him. The gloriful number 3. We bring it back because I think this player really deserved it. He stood strong. Postini. Oh, here you go, Hasni. Postini. He stood strong the entire game. He had a really solid presence throughout the game alongside his twin. Quite incredible. And I think he would have got a 10 out of 10. If he could have just prevented that last shot, he would have had a perfect game. And I think we would have given him a lifetime contract. But yeah, it was so incredible how the post just kept getting in the way, and I think Inter fans were losing their minds. All of those offside goals. They spoke about a penalty on. I'm trying to think. Pavlovic, wasn't it? They're talking about a penalty that Pavlovic should have given away.
Yeah.
All these offside goals. They lost their minds, but Posty kept his, and I think deservedly he gets MVP for me. Any comments on this, guys?
Homegrown player.
That's true.
I'm
Homegrown.
just
He
waiting
hasn't.
for when they put the captain's armband around him.
Exactly right. He has not left that pitch in years, so he's
Yeah.
definitely homegrown. You can say he stays after everyone else and he starts before anyone else as well.
Brilliant.
All right. Right, so let's go to the next one. Right, so the next game to come up was the Coppa d'Italia game, and this is the game where we got to see Morata had gone, and so changes had started in the game. I'm just trying to bring up the starting lineup for this one to remind myself. So we had Magnan, Hernandez, Pavlovic, Tomori, and Walker. That was the back four. Then we had Reindeer, Fofana, and Musa again. And then we had Abraham, Alex Jimenez on the right-hand side, and Pulisic on the left. So this is how it started. Yeah, Fahadinho, Milanismo through and through. I mean, Posty cannot have more Milanismo. Although, actually, no. I think he's a little bit of journeyman, because every half time against Inter he switches. Let's just say that. But this is the lineup that we had, and we thought, okay, Roma on a decent run of form. This could be a particularly tough game, and actually, Tammy Abraham put in a performance that was outstanding against his home club. He really put in an incredible header and a good shot for the second goal as well. But that header for me was really impressive. Used all of his massive height that he has, and he really leapt like a salmon on the 16th minute. And it was a Theo Hernandez assist on both of Tammy Abraham's goals. Then we got to see the new guys, Felix and Jimenez, and we'll discuss them in a minute. But I've got to say, the leap in quality was obvious when these guys came on, and Jimenez ran through. He put in a nice ball to Felix, and Felix very composed, lovely chip, lovely goal. And the fan base went wild, saying this is the player at Cam that we've always needed. This is a very special talent. So yeah, really, honestly, I think we overpowered Roma. Really, quite an impressive way that we did this. But it's all thanks to Tammy Abraham doing his best Van Basten impersonation, in my opinion. Shane, what do you think of that?
So bear with me, because it's gonna sound counterintuitive, right? So games like this is what makes me think more and more that Tammy Abraham, it's such a shame, but he's definitely not the type of player that we need, even though he scored 2. So let me explain why. So if you're the type of player that needs a reason to go out and play a good game, and if that reason is you're playing against your parent club and you want to prove a point, and then if you come out and play a really good game, that means you have the quality to do that every week. You just have to live in your head a bit more and find a reason why, right? If we were playing Chelsea and Roma every week, I dare say Tammy would probably have a few good games. But on the whole, he just does not, he's 100%. I think we'll see it more as the season goes on. Touchwood with Jimenez, because I think you will see the difference between an above average striker, which I think Tammy is. I don't think he's a bad player. He's above average, right? Sometimes good. But you see the difference between him and Jimenez, who I think is going to be very good. You know what I mean? The difference being is just, Like, I mean, we probably haven't had this since. Well, okay, maybe since Ibra came in. What was it? 2012?
Mm.
Where we had, it was like anytime Ibra got the ball, especially that season, it's like you knew that you were guaranteed that it'd go in the net, so you didn't have to worry. And I think with Jimenez, we're kind of reaching that level of security, which is really good. But with Tammy, you don't even have that, because for every like this game was a good example. I mean, a good header, a good shot. I mean, great, right? It's great to see it. But the amount of chances that he needs, he's very wasteful overall. So he's just not at the level. I'm sorry. There's no way. I mean, unless he plays an absolute blinder for the remainder of the season, which I can't see it, because I think now he's done what he had to do against Roma. He's probably going to disappear for like 3 or 4 games. I think that loan can't be something that we look at converting. Even though apparently
I don't think we take it.
Well, according to the press in Italy, they're seriously considering it already. And I'm kind of
Jesus.
like, this isn't a good idea, because you're just inviting in very average players to take up a spot on the squad.
Yeah.
So
hopefully in the summer we'll bring in some other talent, but who knows? So just a quick shout out to Liban Samurai. Hi, good morning. Fahadinho, hi, thank you for being here. Now, how the hell do I pronounce this guy? Can you guys pronounce that? Wemposi?
The Rhythm.
The Rhythm Wemposi. Okay,
the Rhythm.
That's the one.
John,
that's the one. It's the Rhythm, isn't it? Yeah. Hi. First time I've seen your name, so thanks for joining us, guys. And he says Tammy's not above average. Yeah, we agree on that. Santi saying he's going to turn into a goal machine monster. He's getting. Someone said it's got Andriy Shevchenko flashbacks. Okay, the rim is fine. Well, so we'll stick to the rim guy.
Yeah, but can you just add something for Tammy? And I'm going to come to his defense a little bit. So, yeah, what you said, Shane, is correct. But I'll tell you why I think he still has a place in the squad is that we all know that the reason and why the management spent big money on Jimenez is that he's going to be our number 1 starting striker. But then you also going to need a profile within the squad that accepts his place to say that, okay, I don't mind being on the bench. I'm not going to make a lot of noise. If you need me, I'm here. If your side striker is injured, I'll do my best. And in addition to that, we also need a bridge between Jimenez and Camarda. So Camarda is going to be our future. He should be our future, definitely. Unless management does something stupid and sells him, or he gets injured.
Tried to get rid of him.
Yeah, but you're gonna need a player that's in between that to really fill in the gap between the two, because Jimenez can't play every game, and Camarda, based on what I've seen, I don't think he's ready yet. And of course, he's still very young. So I also do understand the loan move, say that, okay, let him make mistakes in another team, which I get it. I absolutely get it. So that's why I think for Tammy, as long as he stays hardworking, I wouldn't mind if he stayed.
Oh, well, there's a opposing view, which is fair enough. Yeah, but anyway, Ranieri afterwards, I did watch a press conference. He got absolutely mauled by his own press, which I think was, he's saying, I'm trying to do my best with this squad and so on. Dovbyk came on and he scored. For some reason, he started off the bench. I'm not a Roma fan, so I don't actually know the reasons behind any of that. But I'm going to guess that Roma, looking at the league table, are going to be trying pretty hard to get involved in that discussion. Fahadinho, completely agree with you. If Luca came on, that would be a much stronger lineup, in my opinion, and it would solve another problem, which is a big discussion in the fan base, which is about homegrown talent and the fact that it opens up spaces for non-homegrown talent as well, so the squad can be bigger in the Champions League and other competitions. We're very low on that. If you look at our Champions League listings, yeah.
Just to go what Fahadinho is saying, right? It's like you can tell when a player looks dangerous or not when they have the ball. And the more that I look at Luca, whatever, from Udinese, right, the more he fits that characteristic. It's like if you give him a half a chance, right, he can get it in the net. So what I'm saying is, And for me, I think, I don't think he'd be against being the backup option. And I think he's a far more dangerous backup option than Tammy is, because I don't think Tammy is that level. See.
So that's a great point, and I'll tell you that there is discussion in some Italian YouTube channels indicating that Conceição and the people that he's bringing in might be moving towards a change of formation, where he might try to play with two strikers together. Now, I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But look out! I've heard look out for a 4-4-2 to start to show itself. So that'll be an interesting swap. And actually, you imagine two strikers up top, and you had Jimenez alongside Camarda. That'll be quite an interesting little display if we have the opportunity to try it. But yeah, Jimenez alongside Luca. Wow, that could be quite a scary proposition. I'm not going to rule it out. But anyway, so this was the Roma game, and then we had the game last night, and I hope you both watched it. I don't know, what time was it for you, Hasni?
1 a.m.
Oh no. Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay, well done, man. That's Milanismo again, dude. So I'll just read out the lineup for you. Okay, so we had Manyan in goal, Hernandez left back, Pavlovic, Tomori, Walker again, Reindeer, Fofana, and then we had Felix, Jimenez on the left side. Guys, by the way, I'll go back to this in a minute. And then Musa again started the game, and Abraham up top. I've got to ask you, do you guys want to come up right now with a differentiation for Jimenez with a J and Jimenez? Do we call him Jimenez? Do you want to call him Jimenez?
Jimmy.
Because it's Jimmy. we need to have a distinction, because it looks like again, these... Yeah.
You have to call one Santi and then call the other, what's Alex? That's really the only way you're going to get around it.
Oh, Alex. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, let's just call him Santi. Santi versus Alex. That's probably, you're right. That's good. I'm going to have to try and remember that. But so that was the starting lineup. And, I watched the whole game. I've got to say, the first half, guys, I think I texted all of you and said that was putrid. I said that was like a poodle walking up to me and taking a turd in my mouth. It really felt like that game was horrid, and Abraham showed the exact opposite of what he showed against Roma. There was absolutely nothing, but we were building nothing. We were doing nothing with the ball, and I was very concerned that we were going to be dropping points here. And I was thinking, Empoli are nothing, are absolutely nothing. They're offering nothing up top. And hey, by the way, Posty showed up again. He did a great job in blocking Colombo. He's always there. He's the ever-present defender, and he works alongside Manyan really, really well. I'll tell you what, if he hadn't been there, there would have been 1-0 up with something to protect. Now, let's talk about the subs that were brought on, because that was quite important. So at halftime, Conceição clearly saw that we were not constructing anything. And pre-game, we were told that Leao had to be rested because he wasn't quite right. Santi had to be, wasn't quite ready. All this kind of stuff. And Pulisic wasn't quite right either. However, at half-time, Conceição was proactive, and this is the difference between him and the other managers we've had recently. And he says, all right, I'm going to risk this. I'm going to bring on Leao. I'm going to bring on Pulisic. I'm going to bring on Santi. And that was a very big shift. Immediately, the squad started to attack, be very direct, and put Empoli under pressure. Now, I'm not going to avoid the fact that on the 54th minute, a really strange thing happened. So, Tomori had been given a yellow card, so he was sitting on a yellow card. And then on the 54th minute, I can't remember which Empoli player, but he ran through, and Tomori went to tackle him.
It's Colombo. It's our boy Colombo.
Was it our boy Colombo? Really?
Yeah.
Sorry. So the ball was passed to him. He was offside. It was really clearly offside. I mean, you'd have to be blind not to see that was offside. The linesman did not put his flag up, and Tomori ran after him, and made a bad tackle, knocked him over. But that, was given a yellow card, and the whole discussion in the fan base was, why did the referee not, or the linesman not call that immediately? Now, we made an argument in the chat group, and I'll just explain, I think, my personal point of view on this. I think linesmen these days are more prone to letting plays go because they know that they can rely on VAR to catch goals that are offside. Like, a lot of goals now are chalked offside, aren't they? But they get all the way through to the actual ball being in the net. And I thought what he was doing was just, let's let it play through. Now, then it comes to the point of, okay, the linesman did not put his flag up, so theoretically the game was still going. Therefore, Tomori carried on playing. But he must have seen, in my mind, that that player was so far offside because he wasn't far away from him. Maybe he didn't have his eye on the entire line. Maybe he was worried about it. Maybe that was the call. But he made the personal decision to knock the guy over. I thought, and a lot of people thought, why didn't VAR step in and say, hey, that move was offside to the referee? But I think it's something to do with the fact that it was a yellow card, not a red card as well. Why the VAR could not step in. I think that might be an actual regulation. Well, I think it might need to be looked at, because I guess the other question is, does it mean that if a player is offside, I can walk up to him and punch him in the head? I don't think that's the case. Or if a referee's blown the whistle, when he's not looking, I'll go and kick someone in the nuts. I don't know. I don't think that's okay to do either. So, yeah, I'm really in the middle on this one. It's a strange one, but I'll say this: what a bad decision was Musa starting the game. I'm not understanding this. He's starting game after game, and he's providing pretty much nothing. So I think the thing now, and I guess we mentioned this yesterday, is the introduction of these greater players of higher quality is starting to show up players who don't stack up to the level of the rest of the squad. And Musa is looking so limited. Like when Pulisic came on, Santi came on. Santi started to combine with Felix pretty quickly, if you remember. And Leao came on. The way they attacked in waves was pretty impressive. But Musa was the one often running like a headless chicken, as he's often doing. So I think, yeah, we've signed players. If we've signed a player that can go in his position, remind me his name again, guys. Sorry, is the Sotil?
Bondo.
Sotil, isn't it?
Oh,
Or
no,
Bondo?
Bondo for the Moose's position more so, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Sotil is going to be
right. So Bondo is injured. So we apparently have signed an injured player. So we're waiting for him to recover. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, we started to attack. They got themselves a stupid red card. I'm thinking, Empoli, you're 0-0. You got yourself in a fortuitous position where you're 10v11. Get some control. When Santi came on, Marianucci, what a comedian. There was a clear video evidence that Santi was initially really grabbing the guy by the neck, but he responded and kicked him, which VAR caught, called the referee over, straight red to Marianucci, and we smashed him to pieces after that. It was literally, thank you very much. We'll take advantage of this. And if you remember, when he came off, that's when our team was stacked with attacking players. So we were set up already to just go straight at Empoli and demolish them. And we did. After that, there was really not a competition, and we scored the 2 goals, which were, decent goals. I think it was a Leao header and then Jimenez finish, which was pretty clean. Very happy with that. Santi, I should say, once again showed you that he is an out-and-out goal scorer. Another clear demonstration of that. And in 2 games, we now have from him 2 goal contributions. 1 assist and 1 goal. Can't really ask for much more than that. Shane, anything to say on that?
Yeah, I think the best player in this game for me was Pulisic.
Okay.
Honestly, when he came on, completely changed the way that the game was going. I know Leao got the good header. I know Jimenez got that great finish. I know all that, but when you look at Pulisic, I'm fairly sure Pulisic was the 2 assists on those goals. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I know he definitely was for Leao's one. Jimenez maybe not, but yeah, Pulisic he's a fucking animal, a complete monster. Like, I'd seen someone on Twitter basically on one of the sports casts over in the US. I think they're kind of saying, oh, he's like top 5 in the world in terms of wingers. And I think that's maybe a bit, pushing it a bit. But I mean, the guy is world class. When you can put him on for 45 minutes and he can basically, set up 2 goals for you. I mean, another level,
Yeah. I mean, that's a great spot. That's a great spot, actually. And Fahadinho confirms it. Pulisic cross is the one that landed for Leao to head. And actually, it was Pulisic that nudged the ball to Santi as well.
Nice.
So, nice spot, man. Nice spot. Hasni?
My overall, who I rate actually quite high is actually Santi. So, looking at the red card, if I was the ref, I would think it's a bit soft. I didn't see it that clearly, maybe, but did Santi get a back heel in the balls or something from?
Yeah.
No, that's what it was.
yeah.
That's what the red was, because he retaliated essentially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he basically, that's why it was straight red after that.
But that's when I thought that the game, you're right, John, it really changed because, okay, now we were 10 against 10. And basically, there was a level playing field. I mean, if you're like 11 against 10, then you're playing with a bit of fear. You're, constant about making mistakes and have to drop back a little bit. So that was really the moment that changed the game. So I'm really going to rate Santi as my player of the match for bringing us level in terms of players on the field and also on the goal. But I do want to say something about our boy who summed up as the new Kaká. So Kaká Felix, a lot of flashy moments, but no goal. So I'm not gonna write him off now, but
that's pretty much his career, though.
Skill moves, holding down the skill button is not really gonna win you the game. But I do appreciate that he was threatening. I do remember that he had one shot that I thought it was a good chance, but he shot it wide. But yeah, in terms of Empoli, and let's put it into context, Empoli, they're fighting for their lives here. Yeah? So they're relegation threatened. They're not in the relegation zone yet, but they could drop down. So they needed the win, and I'm really glad that we didn't drop points.
Yeah, no, a great point there. Felix, he did moves, right, that were very high quality. He turns and spins on the ball that we haven't seen for a while. So he's clearly got a very high level of technical skill. But I could say, some of the crazy shit that Salamaker used to pull when he was on the wing was like a street baller. We used to be, what the hell's this? 1 game out of 100, it would pull something that was just completely unexplainable. So Felix clearly has the skill, but I think he needs to discover, and I think so many clubs that he's been at will say the same, fans, he need to discover consistency. So, anyway, he played 84 minutes, guys, before he had to come off. And I'd say hello, Gunardi and Kashavit as well. You're right. Yeah, not a direct red. That's why VAR didn't intervene. So it's a weird, I think the rule in some cases like this is kind of unique, has to be looked at, to be honest with you.
John, can I just add on to that incident? And I'm actually going to pin this a lot more on Tomori rather than, whatever happened with the refs, because, as much as we complain about the refs, they're all about paychecks, I guess, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. But Tomori, whenever someone gets past him and he realizes, he thinks that he's the last man or the last defender in the line, he does a lot of this crazy stuff. So I'm going all the way back to the Champions League game against Chelsea. Mason Mount, Tomori is, and by the way, I don't think Tomori is that slow, and he shouldn't be much slower. He shouldn't be able to catch up with Colombo. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's inexperienced because he's been defender for a while. But it's him. He just panics. He panics. He's rash, and this is what happens. So I watched the replay of that particular moment. When the ball was passed over to Colombo, Colombo kept running because Colombo probably doesn't care if he's offside. He just want to take a chance. I saw Tomori turn. He looked, and Pavlovic was on the right. And if you saw where Colombo was running from, so he was from our left hand side, and so he had to run a diagonal line if you wanted to go straight at Mike. There was an opportunity for Pavlovic to cover that line if he was running straight to goal. All Tomori needed to do was just to keep up with him and apply enough pressure, maybe throw him off balance, and he'll be able to recover the ball. So it didn't need to be even any cause for a foul there. Tomori simply should do better, regardless whether it was offside or not.
Yeah, I mean that's why I said personally I was in two minds when this happened, because I thought Tomori really didn't need to do that, but yeah, and as I said, I think refs and linesmen these days just rely on VAR to fix issues, and that's what led to the flag not going up. But anyway, yeah, Tomori did make the tackle at the end of the day. Okay, cool. So let's move on to I'd say Posty did an incredible job. Blocked Colombo, stopped us from going 1-0 down, and he made sure that we got a clean sheet. He really was the key. I really think that this guy is. We have to really take a look at him every game. I can't believe it, guys. 4 posts in 2 games that we've had against us. It's quite something. I wonder if this trend is going to continue. I don't know what
higher
Manyan is
football
doing.
like you than Musa as well, by the way.
Well, I don't know what to say about Musa, guys. I don't know. Is this the time to have the discussion? Maybe it is.
It is.
Why do you think he's starting so many games?
It's just the lack of quality, dude. Honest to God, it's So the feeling I have with Musa, right, is it's very much, and I've been consistent for like the last 2 or 3 years since we started this podcast, pretty much. When I was ranting about Calabria being an absolutely fucking stock player,
Yeah.
right, and the reason being is that like now that he's gone and we see Kyle Walker in his position, right, you can see the difference between an okay player, and I'm being very kind when I say that about Calabria, being an okay player versus like a player of quality. That player of quality, Kyle Walker, has raised the overall level of our defence and those players that play around him. And overall, the height of our game is that bit much higher because Kyle Walker's there, right? And that just shows you how detrimental it is to the squad when you have stock players like Calabria was, because there's no need to excel. And Moose is very much the same thing. Like, I mean, he doesn't do anything. There's no skill. There's no. I mean, every so often there's a good pass, right? But the thing is, it's the law of averages, right? If you're playing every game, you're going to do something right. But like the most of it is just such a lack of quality. There's no footballing intelligence. He's not even positioned well.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't, it's, all you get is these desperate late runs into the box. And then when he's in the box, then, right, it's like he never seems to pick the right person to pass it to. Or if he passes it in, it never reaches who it's supposed to get to. Like he's absolutely fucking stock. Absolutely. Like, I know for the last couple of pods, I was trying to defend him a bit and saying he should go on loan, right? But I think even that now is just being kind because, we've seen what we have now. And if a guy is playing every game and if he's just, there's no moments of brilliance. There's no, it's literally just a very average player doing very average things. That's all he is.
So he played the full game yesterday. Just to point out, yeah, he no one substituted for him. So
and just here's one question, right? What did you think of Musa yesterday? Can you remember anything he did? Because I can't.
No, I remember quite clearly texting you guys saying, "What is going on?" because he's just a body in that midfield. And I was asking, why is Conceição just not touching him? When we had those subs at half time and the quality switch when Pulisic came on, Leao came on, and Santi came on, the quality at the top in terms of just incredible technical ability and speed and pace, and that was demolished on that side by an empty hole. And I asked you guys, I said, what is Conceição seeing here? Is it because he's waiting for Ruben Loftus-Cheek to come back? Is that what this is? Is he really waiting for Bondo, the young kid, to be the one that makes this big difference? I think I'm with Kashavit. It's like Musa should not be in the starting 11, but right now, what is he doing, Conceição, by playing him? We can't have games against better opponents where we're playing 10v11 when the game starts. Yeah,
That's Gunardi. Yeah, just to because apparently, just for anyone listening on Apple, anything like that. So Gunardi just commented, "Don't worry, Ricci's coming in June." So apparently, in the Italian newspapers, it was said that Ricci has already agreed to join Milan.
I hope that's true.
Yeah, it's already a done deal. Pretty much, it's just going to happen in June. So that's good, because honestly, with Musa, you see, I'm trying not to be hard on the kid, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not his fault he's limited. Some people are limited, right? But the thing is I think it's kind of getting to the point where I wouldn't even see him as a backup. I would see him as the backup of a backup. Do you know what I mean? Like it's...
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's like Safadinho says, lack of options in the middle, and Kashavit says because Musa does a lot of running. So I can say, all right, he does a lot of running. Yes, he's got a good engine on him, but that's not enough. You could say Gattuso had a great engine on him, but he tackled. He had grinta. People were scared shitless to go near him. You know, Musa, I don't know what. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. And as I said, as the quality around him improves, it really demonstrates how limited he is. I don't really want to turn in this pod into a Musa bashing session, but I hope Conceição has a plan moving forward. We can't really wait till June. We need to make Champions League places. We know that ownership is looking desperately to do that. We've got to talk about the transfer window in a minute, guys. Have a quick chat about it. But yeah, Hasni, what's your opinion on Musa? Let's hear your opinion.
The way that he's been used, and it's giving me vibes of Krunic. Not really good. Several positions. I mean, we've seen Musa midfield.
Krunic was better, dude. I'm not. I know I take the piss all the time, but Krunic was actually Krunic was safer with the ball than Musa is, and there was none of this needless running.
Nah, to me it's the same.
You know what I mean?
But in the same way that he's been tossed around, he's been right back, he's been right wing, he's been midfield. So whenever Musa plays, I do get I do check our first team list again. And ask is that, do we not have any other midfielders? And I'm also checking the lineup, and it's true, there aren't any other midfielders on the bench. So we have
yeah. I was thinking, I reckon he's waiting for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which is a question, by the way. How bad is his injury? Because I have not heard any updates at all.
John, don't just ask about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We are still paying Florenzi's wages. Where is this guy?
Nah, mate, Florenzi had a massive injury. So, I mean, we knew that we lost him basically for the whole season. That's what
really?
I heard.
Is he dead?
No, he's gone.
He's done.
He was due back in something like June or July, wasn't he? This year,
I think it was very, very long layoff. Yeah. So it's not that; it's Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's basically. I kept hearing that Conceição rated him, and I thought, well, let's see when he comes back how this guy is used. But he has not come back. He wasn't even on the subs list. I'm checking now. No one. No. So yeah.
Just while you're talking, I'm going to check transfer market just to see when it's predicted that Loftus-Cheek is coming back.
Oh, good one. So we'll give Ruben Loftus-Cheek play 2 games and get injured again. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to look in now as to how long he's out. Let's be fair. So Paul trying to back Musa, saying he's over the top. The hate. I see a player who's growing is going to be one hell of a player. Forget Richie, bring back Krunic.
I agree with you there, Paul, but I don't see the growth. I think I see a player who's become. I think we're seeing his ceiling. I don't see any growth there when it comes to Musa.
In terms of evidence, in terms of games played and minutes played, he's putting in a shift, and we're seeing a lot of him. And game by game, good opponents, bad opponents, I'm not really seeing. For example, we said Tammy. You put him up against a dodgy defense, and sometimes he will look great, sometimes he'll go missing. But he has those ups and downs. This guy doesn't seem to have anything. Like he's just there constantly. And as maybe these guys are right, it's lack of options that is the reason why he's being played and nothing else.
On the subject of on the subject of Loftus-Cheek, so just check transfermarket.com to see what's the situation with his injury. So it is listed as muscular problems, return unknown.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
That's a broken player.
That sounds like a long-term issue here. And then he'll have to regain fitness as well, isn't it? So, oh dear. Okay, that explains a few things. Right, so let's move on to looking for the Champions League. The Rhythm earlier on, I think, asked about, are we going to win the Champions League? So let's have a discussion about the Champions League. Why is this bloody thing doing? I'm trying to switch to the next slide, guys. There
we go.
Stupid AI graphics. So we are playing against Feyenoord. So remember, we had a choice. It could have been Juventus or Feyenoord. Feyenoord as a team. Just wanted to show you something because it had escaped me. We finished on 15 points. They were on 13 points. And so I said, oh, hang on, this is actually way closer than I thought in terms of, final point tally. And I thought, all right, this new format, who did they play against? Did they have a tough 8 fixtures? And so let's have a look at the 8 fixtures. So this is when the game's being played. Remember, tonight's the 9th, which means the first game against Feyenoord is next week. But look, they play Leverkusen. We just lost to Leverkusen. They got battered 4-0 at home. They then beat Girona. We played Girona too, guys, and they won 3-2 away. The pretty impressive result here is Benfica, 3-1 away. Then they lost at home to Salzburg, got a red card. They drew with Man City, 3-3 at City. They then destroyed Sparta Prague, 4-2. They ripped Bayern Munich after Bayern Munich got a red card, 3-0. And in the final game, they completely lost the plot and lost 6-1 to Lille. And Lille made Lille look absolutely amazing. So, overall, you can tell they've had some pretty tough fixtures. They've come away with quite solid points looking at those fixtures. This is where they sit in their league. So they are 14 points behind first place. I am not going to even pretend for 1 minute that the Dutch league is in any way the same level as the Serie A. So it's hard for me to gauge their strength against us. The best way I can gauge it is by comparing the Champions League opposition. I would say don't count this game as won already. The one thing I did see is that they are carrying several big injuries at the moment, especially at the back, and they've obviously lost their best goal scorer. So before I go to the transfer market, maybe we'll stop here. Hasni, Shane, your opinions on Feyenoord as an opponent?
If I can start, I wouldn't be worried about them because part of the transfer fee we paid for them to throw the game. If not, if they were to win it, I'm telling you, this management will go back and ask for a reduction in terms of the bonuses or something like that. So yeah, I'm not too worried. Part of the deal. It's behind the scenes. It's probably pretty much done. How about you, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, considering we took the player off them, I'm just looking at Jimenez's stats for the Champions League this year. So he's played 5 games for them, scored 5 goals, and provided 1 assist. So it's like we bought the Feyenoord attacking line pretty much. So I'd say we should be all right. Do you know what I mean? I don't really see.
They are blunted. You're absolutely right. They are blunted. I did look at their squad and saw the goal distribution, and it's very stacked towards Santi. So
John, keep in mind we can't beat Dinamo Zagreb.
Yeah, well, we couldn't with the squad that we had. I don't know if with the current squad over 2 legs, I think we should do it.
It's too much, yeah.
I think we should. I mean, it would be really embarrassing if we didn't. Actually, that's what I would say. Right, transfer market. So we entitled this pod "Hype Train," and so let's have a look at what actually ended up happening in the end. So we know Morata left. I think that was a. So the point here is Morata leaving 6 months after he starts. What does that say about the summer transfer of Morata into the squad? At the time, we were told the opportunity was too big. A European champion, blah 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 blah. Captain of Spain. He has to come in. We have to take the chance. Nope, he really did not work out. He showed Grinta for 1 game, and that was it. After that, he just got comfortable and didn't play. Benacer. Now, the word here, if we are to listen to the moron Ibrahimovic, is that Benacer pushed for this move. I think Benacer did push for this move. He said it in his own words, actually. It's interviewed. But we had pointed out that Benacer had missed 500 days in the last few seasons for us. And we had pointed out he was coming back from a severe injury. I know some people had high hopes for him to reintegrate into the midfield and really be that difference. I guess, Musa wouldn't be starting if Benacer was there. That's maybe the player that would have been there. So sad to see him go in and sad for him to go in that way. I think, however, I'm going to say I hope he does well because I've always liked Benacer. When he's been fit, he's always given us his best, and I cannot complain about his contribution to our club. I wish him well. Any words on Benacer, guys? Or Morata?
I want to say something about Morata, and yeah, he wasn't good for us, but I do want to credit him that at least he was willing to leave. Can you imagine that he decided to say that, I want to fight for my place in the club? We will be in a mess. Keeping Morata on, trying to bring in Jimenez. Then what happened with Kamada? Tammy's still around, that we can't really break the loan. So I must say thank you to Morata for actually wanting to leave and for making it happen. So thanks for that. And you're right, it didn't work out. Before he joined us, there were a lot of could I say hype? Maybe a little bit of hype because he just won the Euros. But then if you look at it in the context of his career, he's been passed around quite a lot. So there was also that chance that, well, in my opinion, it would have been a big chance that he wouldn't be anything seller for us. But I know that the profile that the management were looking for, they're looking for a striker, not too old, can hold up the ball, and good in the air. Morata, more often than not, wasn't those things. In Benacer's case, I was disappointed because fans were really waiting for this guy. And management did hype him up and sell him a little bit, saying that he'll be like a new signing in January. Guess what?
That's right.
A new signing for Marseille, right?
Yeah.
So that was disappointing. And no matter what I said, I don't want to hate on the guy. I mean, he more often than throughout his career, he has done well for us, but kind of played us a little bit, if you know what I mean. So I was disappointed towards the end, but I'm not gonna hate him. Wish him well. How about you, Shane?
Yeah, so I think with Benny, I mean, kudos to him. He's been a great servant to the club. I think everyone, despite how it's gone down, and it didn't end in possibly the best way because he forced himself out very late in the window. However, that being said, he has been a good servant to the club, and I think that his best years were far behind him. I think the Scudetto season was probably his last good year, so it's been kind of downhill since. And I think partially it's really the club's fault because we ran him into the ground. He had too many huge injuries based on that fact, and he never came back. So I wish Benny the best. I hope he, and I think he'll absolutely ball out in Marseille. So God bless. Best of luck, Benny. Morata was never going to work out because when you're swapping like tapas for the junk food that is pasta.
Oh, here we go.
Right.
He can't help himself. He can't help himself. Here he goes again. Your bloody pasta sandwich, Shane.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
No, man. I think with Morata, so. I heard a story. So Ibrahimovic apparently had to try very hard to convince Morata over a phone call to join.
Yeah, right.
So I think hopefully that this should be a learning lesson for management. That if you have to try hard to convince the player to join, is probably not the one for you at that point. And we've seen the results. To be fair, I still think I think pound for pound, I think he's a better player than Tammy. I would prefer that, I prefer that he would have stayed over Tammy because I think he's not as lazy, and I just think he's an all-around better player. Do I think that means he's the number one striker that we should have? No, but I think him as a backup would make more sense for me than Tammy. So,
actually, you've just reminded me of something, Shane. One of the things that I think about when I think of Morata is physically very weak, throws himself on the floor very often. It's that style of football that I don't think any fan particularly enjoys. Players that are constantly looking for fouls and penalties through diving. And you reminded me that Felix last night got a yellow card for simulation. That cannot be part of the, our squad makeup. We just do not want that kind of crap. I hate it. And Santi looks like the kind of guy that's just going to smash his way through. And as you said, I think Hasni, the opponent was baited and he fell for it, kicked him in the bollocks, and then got himself a red card.
I was about to say, Chad, we shouldn't simulate. What we should do is get the opposing players to kick a square in the balls and then get them sent off. That's how you win.
That's how you win, man. Right, so that's this one. Calabria went, this is him renewing his contract to 2025. Big picture of him in the car park with a bit of, I don't know, real tears in his eyes. I don't know. Club captain, but he just, if Chicken Royale had been fit, I think the club would have done absolutely everything to try and get rid of him for any money. We know that Chicken Royale, I think, turned down a move. And again, I think Fenerbahce were looking at him, but who cares? The guy's injured and he's going to be coming back, and it looks like he's going to be, second string to Walker, because we can't for 1 second expect Walker to be able to take every single minute of every game. That's just unrealistic for a 34-year-old. I hope that Chicken Royale is left for games, and there aren't that many left anymore where there are kind of throwaway games or easy games. In the league, we basically have to go on a massive run of wins to try and make that top four. So the pressure's really on, and I don't know if Chicken Royale will learn anything from Walker in terms of his ability to raise his ceiling. Right. Yeah, I'm disappointed that Chicken Royale didn't leave too.
I'm just happy that Calabria fucked off.
Yeah, but again,
you know, I'm sorry, but fuck that guy. Seriously, like, you know,
management tried their hardest in this transfer window to basically remove the signings that they brought in the summer. They tried really hard.
oh, Royale
Right?
100% would be gone though, because the thing
I think so.
his bags were packed for Galatasaray, but it's
Okay.
just that injury happened. So the thing is Royale is not going to last past the summer. As soon as he's back, you know, they're going to get in. I mean, the Conceição has already said, he's like, I have 2 starting right backs. He's like, I have Kyle Walker and I have Jimenez. Those are our 2 starting right backs. I don't think that's Jimenez's optimum position. I think Jimenez, by the way, has been one of the surprises of the season for me. I'm a complete fanboy. Not Santi Jimenez, even though he's a great player so far. I think Alex Jimenez, I've been consistent with this by saying this guy has strong quality, and this kid can really go far. Do you know what I mean?
Shane, however, what you've just exposed there was another flaw. Alex came from Real Madrid. He went into the Futuro team, and he was rotting in the Futuro team. Opponent managers even said that guy does not belong at this level. Yeah? When opposing managers in Serie C are saying that guy is way above our level, and then suddenly injuries force managers to bring this kid forward, and he demonstrates to you that he can fill a place, he's flexible, can move several positions. Doesn't that also point to a failure in the way he was being deployed? He was not brought in to be part of the first team, guys. He was brought in to be part of the Futuro. Yeah? And actually, no, that was wrong. He should have been introduced into the first squad earlier. He could have been a realistic, we could have dropped fewer points. Think about all the goals that right flank was opened for if this kid had been there. Just think about it. So again, to me, that speaks to the failure of the transfer.
Yeah,
And
it's a
just
story
one
of
more-
Kalulu. Kalulu went the same route, I think. He was bought to be put in the Primavera. Gabbia came off injured, and the rest is history. Up to Juve. So
we're talking here about so while we're talking about the Futuro, right? We're wondering why Musa is playing every game, and we have Voss that's fucking rotten on the Futuro team, right? He's a physical unit. He's ready to play against fully grown men because I mean he looks bigger than most 28-year-olds that you see. Right, that kid is ready to go to slot into that position, and I think he'd be more effective than Musa. And for some reason, no one is talking about him.
Shane, not only him, but I think Kubis. By the way, Kubis is a natural right back. I don't know why he wasn't given a chance.
That's fair, actually, as well. Yeah.
There you go. We talk again about the transfer window. Remember, the transfer window changes were not just for the senior team; they were also for the Futuro team. They brought in senior players who are already showing the difference. So, again, another demonstration of a failure in the summer. But that's kind of like, I think a few people are forgetting the fact that they are scrambling to make top 4 at all costs. They are scrambling to ensure that the Futuro does not get relegated. So let's move.
Why isn't Origi in the Futuro, by the way?
He's too busy on holiday. That's what he's doing, man. He's just not showing up for training.
Can someone force him to play in the Futuro? I mean, is he not good enough? Or
I think he's named on that list. If we looked at the list a few weeks ago, but yeah,
he's
for
on
some
the
reason,
list.
Yeah, so his attitude must just stink, I guess. That's what it must be. So Okafor, remember the last pod we were like, Leipzig pulled out, and you said, Shane, that's Leipzig's fault, not management's fault. Well, guess who picked him up? The team that sold Kvara for a buttload of money, I think to PSG, went, okay, we'll take this guy at a loan fee of 1.5 million and the 15 million buyout clause. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but for 1.5 million, that's a decent little player that they brought in that they can utilize. You know, Okafor did a job for the time he was fit. He did do a job on that wing. So interesting little thing. And it'll be very interesting to watch how he does under Conte, because Conte squeezes players, he squeezes everything out of players. So yeah, what do you think of that move?
At least one of our players can win the Serie A title this year.
Oh my God, I did not think of that.
Mm.
I did not think of that, Shane. Hasni, what do you think of the Okafor signing?
I always thought there was a player behind Okafor. So if he wasn't anywhere near good, or if he was like so down the dumps, I don't think even Conte would have picked him up. So Conte must have seen something. It's just a matter of having a decent medical team to bring him back to fitness. I think Okafor can do well.
Yeah, I think this guy could be dangerous, actually. Okay, now we were talking about the hype train, guys, right? The hype train. So if we can take our pictures off, I don't know who's got control. If you take pictures off, you'll be able to see some numbers on here underneath. But there you go. Oh, well, one or the other, doesn't matter. I'll read them out to you. So he's obviously come from Feyenoord. He's 1 meter 83. Mexican, of course. Place of birth is actually Argentina, Buenos Aires. I did not know that. Centre forward. Now, before the transfer window, I'll be honest, I did not have an eye on this guy. I don't really watch the Dutch league at all, but the point here is that his market value is 37 million. We paid 32 million plus bonuses, apparently, which are going to be quite easy to reach. That's what I'm told. So in essence, we paid the full amount. So why was this player, and why is this player seen as such a big shift in what we're doing in our transfer dealings? Now let's have a look. The reason Santi Jimenez is seen as so important, we've already seen in the first 2 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. But look at his goal scoring record and contribution record at Feyenoord. 105 games, 65 goals, 14 assists. The caveat there is, of course, it's the Dutch league, so we can't judge exactly. But from having seen him over the last 2 games, he is a step up in quality to anything we've had in quite a while. And he could be quite special. His goal scoring record is really, really impressive. So, yep, I get it. You know, Forza Mexico. Let's hope you guys, get to see your star player perform, which is good for your national team, but also for our squad too. So great stuff. Now,
I wanted Italian passport as well.
Yeah, I heard that. But does not count him as homegrown, by the way.
No, it
doesn't. All right, so Felix. Now, when he first came, we've had a few discussions, and I remember, Shane, you were quite vocal about this, saying, what is it like? He may be deceiving a little bit. That people keep thinking back to his previous times when he was at Benfica. So I thought, let's have a look at his records in all the different clubs he's been at. He's been passed around a bit. It's true, Shane. His Benfica record is the one that really lights up here. 43 matches, 20 goals, 11 assists. That's 31 contribution in just 43 games. That's pretty impressive. But then he moved to Barcelona. That dropped to 16 total goal contribution in 44 games. And the Atletico really dropped again to, what is that? Let's do the maths. 52? Is that right? 52 goal contributions in 131 games. It's really a significant drop. So the question here is, which Felix are we going to see? With this setup, with these players around him, with the individual that he is today, are we going to see the Felix from the Chelsea days? Are we going to see the Felix from the Benfica days? Or are we going to see the Felix from the Atletico days? Hard to say. I'd say from the first game, a lot of people got carried away and said, getting Kaká vibes from him. Nope. no.
Cowboys.
And from the second game, I did not get those vibes at all. I think he's got some skills, and as I said, they're gonna prove useful. But we need more data to kind of understand what his mental state is. I think that's probably his biggest issue will be his mental state. Hasni, Shane, what do you think on Felix? What's your opinion?
Okay, this is definitely a good player. There, I want to say that outright. Based on what we've seen some flashes with the goal yesterday. He thought Vasquez, again, our boy Vasquez, by the way.
Yeah.
He thought it could have been another easy goal, just to dink it over him. Didn't work. Should have been a little smarter that people would catch on to that. But this is a player who, if we wanted to buy outright, we couldn't afford him. Whether he has the skills, I think he does. But because he has such a high residual value, because Chelsea did pay a lot for him, so
They did.
we should be grateful that we managed to get a player like Felix into the club just on that basis alone, saying that okay, someone's expensive actually joined us, even though it's on a dry loan. And then there's background rumors saying that we could make it permanent somehow. So if he does explode, I am a little bit worried. If he doesn't explode, I guess he'll prove a lot of people right, saying that, oh, he's washed out and all that. But I do see the potential there, and give him a few more games with Conceição, who's looks like to be quite a strict coach. Maybe he'll bring Felix back to his previous glory.
Okay.
So Shane, your thought?
So interestingly enough, I'd read news on this, and apparently he was a Plan B player. So the Plan A was for a guy from Barcelona called. I know before you say it, it's not Yamal, obviously not. But it was a kid.
Futuro.
Yeah. No, it was a kid from Barcelona, but apparently they'd gone in for him, and it was shut down basically by the Barcelona management, saying, "No, we can't lose this player." So then they moved on then to Felix. Sorry, I'll see if I can actually dig up that name in a moment. But look, for what he is, right, it's very low risk. I think I give credit to the management. This move does make a lot of sense. I mean, if he doesn't work out, who cares? We don't lose anything. If he works out, the player himself can push through for a move to come to us.
Kasharit says Torres from Barcelona. Torres,
that's the one. Thank you. So, yeah, considering he's a Plan B player, so okay, the player apparently, so he's got a reputation that he loves partying, right? And this is why his career has never really taken off. So, that being said, if everyone kind of reaches a point in their life where they kind of change what they're doing, right? And hopefully, if we can take advantage of that, and if the player wants to stay beyond his loan period and decides to push through a move, and if we can get a cut price on the deal, I mean, even better, right? The fact that he's coming from Chelsea as well, I mean, that's a complete disaster of a club in terms of a project. They have so many players there that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they're
we're picking them all up, aren't we?
This is it, right? But unfortunately, for every Tomori, we get like a Loftus-Cheek. So, we also get a Pulisic, which is good. So, yeah, overall, all in all, it just makes a lot of sense to move. I really hope it works out for the kid. He seems to do really fancy things on the ball. I think more time in the squad will only kind of help him and help the players that are playing with him, to build up an understanding about where he wants to put the ball, because he does look fairly intelligent with his passing. Him and Jimenez seem to have linked up quite well already, which has been surprising to see. It's been really nice to see, to be honest. Yeah. So, all in all, that being said, I'm a bit more excited than I was when he initially announced the deal.
Okay, no, that's fair.
And I think for the long term, if we play, this could turn out to be a really, really good move for everyone, really, So
yeah, so I think you both made great points. I think for the 6 months that we've got him, I think he's going to be an upgrade on anything we had before. Under Conceição, I think the good point here from Fahadinho, Conceição, I mean, he's proving himself to be quite a strict manager, which potentially will help this kid out. I think the new exciting strike force that we're putting together may really help Felix to start to show some of his skills. I mean, yesterday he was through on goal and he tried another bloody chip, if you remember.
Panenka, yeah.
He tried it again, and I was like, mate, just hammer it under the keeper. You can see his legs are open. But who am I to speak? I'm not a professional footballer. So, he made the call. I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck? Don't do that again. But very good, very good. I think, yeah, he is a quite high value player, and hopefully he will give us plenty of contribution. So let's fingers crossed that we see more of the Benfica level player than we saw. Yeah.
Very good point there by Gunardi. So the good thing about Felix, he can break the low block just by his skill, but he needs to be consistent until, the summer. That's a fair point, because I mean, we have been really struggling with the low block, because at a certain point it's like we're kind of hoping that Leao can basically break the offside trap and run in behind them. Somehow.
So Shane, a case in point is the first half yesterday. He was on that pitch for the first half yesterday. On his own, he cannot break the low block. He needs a Pulisic, a Leao, and a striker with pace up front. Yeah? So I think if he is combined with players of that quality, they can break a low block because of their incredible pace of thinking and skill and tactical ability. I think on his own, if you put him around players who are more average, he can't do it on his own. I mean, that first half, he was next to useless, right? I mean, you can't, you've got to kind of like look at the whole squad makeup, and Felix looked a lot better the moment that these other guys came in. I think you'd agree on that. So let's go to the next player that came in, Kyle Walker. Now, the guy has come in, and the reason he's been quite exciting, the prospect has been quite exciting, is because of who we had at that position, and the fact that this guy is so experienced. The best thing to say is look at his trophy haul. It's just incredible. He has played, he knows success. He's tasted success at the highest level possible, at club level I'm talking about here. You're never going to taste success playing for England. Slight nudge there. But what a player. I was concerned. I'll be honest. I was concerned by his age. I still am concerned that I hope he doesn't break down. I hope that the guy can keep playing, because he has shown us in every game he has played that he has the intellect, the leadership as well, because this is an aspect that, we have to mention. He has shown us he's got exactly what we need at that position. And he will buy us time to bring in other players, and he will help potentially youngsters to really grow into that position as well. So great acquisition. I've got to say, I was apprehensive at first, but after having seen him, solid, absolutely solid. Any comments on Walker, guys?
Yeah, if he can stay healthy and not be riddled with injuries, because he's at that age where it probably becomes more often for players to develop a muscle problem or some sort of injury. Short-term injury, I guess you can't really avoid it, but I'm just hoping nothing major, because 34, he doesn't have much left in him, and players only going to get younger and his opponents as well, so that's going to be a challenge for us. I think long-term, we still going to need a solution. Hopefully it's a player that we already have. I don't want to say it. Maybe Terrachano can do it. But we need someone to step up quite soon.
Shane?
Yeah, so I think with Walker, just to go back to what I said earlier, you can really see the difference in the whole defensive department when he's playing. It's like people have an understanding that they're that they're actually responsible for their role on the pitch, and they're not just running about after the ball like headless chickens. So, huge upgrade. I didn't think it would be as big as it was, to be honest. But it's what happens when you replace a young player with, even if though he's at the end of his career, I think he's world class. So, replace a shit player with a world class player. These things happen. So, management, take note, please. Junk Musa, get someone in on a fucking free contract. That's what we need for the summer.
Yeah, so the other players that I didn't highlight here are Bondo and Sutil. I haven't seen enough to be able to say anything about either player. I know Sutil has a reputation for being a kind of player that can play on the flank, and he will have a go at defenders. He likes to run at them, and Bondo is supposed to be maybe someone that might be able to connect the defense to the attack in the future. I did see an interview where it looked like his father's quite emotional that Bondo has joined such a big club as Milan. It's lovely to see stuff like that. I really like it when players join us and they seem to really understand the weight and the gravity of what they are about to join, the size of the club that they're about to join. I love that. Good luck to him. I hope he gets back to full fitness and that we see him. One thing I want to say about Kyle Walker is that I've just if you think about it, that right side of Milan is all English speaking. So we've got Walker, next to him is Tomori, Pulisic, and Musa. It's quite an interesting thing that's going on there, and that might actually be really good for communication as well going forward. It's an interesting happenstance that's happened. I don't know if that's on purpose. And then I'm thinking, are they trying to build a French side on the left? If you think about it. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, let's leave it at that. And then I just wanted to finish off by looking at the league table. So we won last night, 38 points. We are now 5 behind Juve. We've got a game in hand. The thing about the game that we've got to catch up on is Bologna. And Bologna now have started to play decent football. Not because Calabria's joined them, but they are doing a better job. And so we've got to not take that for granted, guys. Don't just sit there saying we're on 41 points already. No, we need to beat Bologna to stay ahead of them to get closer to Lazio, Fiorentina, Juventus. The other thing I wanted to say...
Calabria will help us out. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, I hope he plays against us. Let's see how he does. Oh my God, I want to see Calabria up against.
Can you imagine Calabria
Leao.
with Leao running at him?
Oh, please let it happen. Please let it happen. I want to see it. The guy will be doing the splits. I guarantee you. Yeah, just knock the ball past him and run. Calabria will be like treacle. But anyway, so. Roma are on 31 points, so they're 7 behind. Bologna are only 1 behind. They've played another game less. So let's be careful here. Yeah, and Monza playing Lazio. I don't know. Monza at the moment are in a real mess. I don't know if they will beat Lazio. Fingers crossed. I'd say Fiorentina is a team to really watch out for. They seem to be hitting form. Who did they just smash? Fiorentina just smashed Inter. They smashed Inter 3-0. Of course, Hasni, of course you know, because you've got Interista in your family who's probably crying at that game. But Keane, oh my god, he has found some form under Italiano, hasn't he? So really, really impressive, Fiorentina. That's not good for us. There's a few teams ahead of us there. And I'm saying 5th is the absolute bare minimum because we're assuming that Italy might get that 5th place. It is in no way guaranteed. And if we are reduced to having to reach 4th place, that is a lot of teams to have to get through, right, guys? And Inter, by the way, will have to play Fiorentina, I think, on Monday again. So they've got the return leg. And I just wanted to mention one thing about that Fiorentina game. If you remember, it was rescheduled because both had a heart attack. The rules of the league were that Fiorentina could not field any of their new players or any of the players that were obviously have been transferred out. So they were on the Gazzetta pointed out that Fiorentina were without the option of 12 players, and yet they put out a squad that destroyed Inter Milan. And I can tell you that the Inter fan base lost the plot that night. But I want to kind of say, listen, yeah, they lost to Fiorentina, but if you look at the league table, actually, they're only 3 points behind Napoli, and they've got a far, far superior goal difference. They're at 34 goals versus 22. So I think Inter should calm down a bit. This is only their second loss of the season. They're in no way in trouble, but that defeat will have scared them. I think they will be shocked. I was, I openly said,
if they're not scared by a severely aging squad that was bought in on free transfers, that you can't exactly keep whipping that dead horse every season and hope it works out. If that's not scaring them, then I don't see why they're scared by a temporary drop in form. This is all it is.
I mean,
I'd be more scared about the long term if I was them, not the short term.
Yeah, and in the long term, they're going to have to rebuild quite a bit. But I'm not an Interista, so I don't actually know the full squad makeup that well in terms of the age. I know they've got Arnautovic, who's, getting on a bit. And they've got Taremi. And I'm just trying to think, who else do they have? I guess they've got a few aging defenders. Yeah.
Çalhanoğlu as well, as he's getting on a bit.
He's getting
not
a few
old,
injuries, isn't he?
Not
yeah.
young. And then if you look at their back line, then you have Darmian. Who else do you have?
Is Acerbi still one of their players?
I think so.
I think so. But anyway, who gives a shit about Inter? Let's just hope that we've made our contribution at helping them not to win the league by taking 2 points away from them. Let's hope we've made that contribution. But as I said, they'll be quite scared to face Fiorentina on Monday, because at that point, Fiorentina will be able to select from their entire squad. But they put in an incredible shift. They did a great job. So, yeah, a lot of the fans were saying, this is fantastic that Fiorentina destroyed Inter. And then I looked at the league table and thought, it's actually Fiorentina that we're competing with. It's not Inter. But I get it. It's from the point of you don't want them to win another Scudetto. Get another Scudetto away from us. That's the bigger... is the war as opposed to the battle. But Lazio there. If they win today, they go to 45. It's tough. It's gonna be really, really tight, guys. I do think that our squad now is pretty strong. So it's just a matter of how far we go into the Champions League, how much stress that puts on the squad. The Coppa d'Italia, Ibrahimovic has come out and said that is one of our objectives. But then, at the start of the season, he said, I was an objective with that shit squad. So who knows what any of that means. Well, what do you think, guys, when you look at the league table and where we are and the current squad? What's your gut feeling? Let's go with your gut feeling. I can see you, Shane, on my screen. So you start, Shane.
So Fiorentina and Lazio, they don't have the level of quality in terms.
Oh, Shane cut
Sorry,
off.
am I dropping out?
No, now you're back.
No, sorry, internet's a bit dodgy. Okay, so in terms of where we are, so Lazio and Fiorentina, I think, don't have the squad that we have. If you look at starting 11, I think pound for pound quality isn't there. Also, I say the same about Juventus. I think, however, when it comes to Juventus, I think they might have gotten like the transfer of the window for me. With that, what's that kid?
Kolo Muani, Jesus, yeah.
I mean, because all they were struggling with really so far this season was actually scoring goals.
Yeah,
that was it. It wasn't keeping clean sheets, or it wasn't, well, okay, maybe clean sheets, but they were just drawing a lot of games. So I don't think that's going to be an issue now. I think so. Really, Fiorentina, Lazio, I wouldn't be super concerned with. I think we'll definitely finish above them. Juventus, though, is the big question mark, because I think we should be looking to qualify in fourth at a minimum.
Yeah.
Because you can't really be hoping that, like, oh well, if we're in fifth, we might get Champions League, we might also get the Europa League, right? So that's a huge step down. So for me, I would be cautious, but I think with a bit of luck, considering that if we win our game in hand, which is a big if, because again, it's against Bologna, but if we win our game in hand, right, we're what, 2 points behind Juventus?
We would be, yeah. We'd be 41. Yeah.
And that is 100% doable, because I think we have the best squads from what is it, 4th, 5th, 6th. I think we have a better squad than the rest of them. I think the problem has been that, obviously with management's purchases over the summer, they didn't work out, so we didn't really have a functioning strike line, right? But considering that, though, to say that we have, touch wood, potentially a functioning strike line that has been upgraded in every fucking way, right? We should easily be looking at fourth.
Okay.
So, fingers crossed.
Hasni?
Yeah, I agree with Shane. But I'm also thinking about it in the greater scheme of things, is that we also have our Champions League games to play, and hopefully we win those as well, for our balance sheets and all that. So, but we can't have the same lineups every single a few days, so that's gonna be tough. And we also have the Copa, which I know that Conceição probably is one to win as well. So this fixture schedule is going to play a part as well. Now, given the challenge and the fact that our number one priority should be trying to get top 4, I agree with Shane. Fifth is taking too much of a gamble. We should actually get into that 4th place at least. I think we should start to consider teams for which competitions, because we can't have Jimenez playing all these games. We can't have Leao playing all these games. We're going to end up losing all of them maybe. So we really have to focus and really strive for that 4th place.
I just wanted to point out, though, Shane, you said that, these teams are not up to much. Like these squads like Lazio and Fiorentina, we are better squad than them. Fiorentina have made a serious move in the January transfer window. They brought in some of the most, so just to give you an idea, first of all, Daniele Maldini has moved to Atalanta. The reason he moved to Atalanta is because they lost a cam because Fiorentina picked up Nicolo Zaniolo. Then Fiorentina moved to strengthen the midfield and brought in Nicolo Fagioli from Juventus. They have Pablo Mari. Yassin Adli is there, if you remember. So we've got, several players that they have tried very hard to strengthen their squad. So I would be careful with Fiorentina, and their manager is very good. So yeah, I'd watch out for them. So I don't know, of course I want Inter to lose again, but if Inter was to win that game tomorrow, it wouldn't be so bad for us in terms of our opportunity to finish 4th. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I think a lot of people are forgetting that we were not the only ones active in the transfer window. I think one of the least active teams was Inter, who brought in just Zalewski, but he put in, I think it was the assist, wasn't it, for the equalizer against us. So that was really annoying.
It's difficult to get the free transfers in January. See, that's why they're so quiet.
I mean, they really did have a quiet one. But their squad was very, very deep. So yeah, okay. Atalanta, I'm genuinely excited to see Daniele Maldini, once he is injury free, in the Atalanta squad playing at Cam. I think he could be, under Gasperini, finally at the club where he could explode. At first we were like, oh, Monza, well done, take him off us. But in that Monza team, he was standing out like a sore thumb. He was so much better than most of the players on that pitch. And now that he's gone to Atalanta, I am very curious to see how he combines with Retegui, who is, by the way, capocannoniere in chief. He's absolutely destroying it. Really impressive. So yeah, the top 3 for me are gone. It's all about 4th place, and I think a 5-point gap is something we can make up as long as you don't do any stupid. The thing with Milan, guys, I think we're such a precipice. All it takes is one defeat to something like a Torino, and we could be talking. A 5-point gap becomes an 8-point gap. All of a sudden, that's more than 2 matches. So we need to keep stringing these wins along. So, and Hasni, I think you made a correct point. We can't play the full strength team every time. So Conceição, before the Empoli game, said, I don't want to risk Pulisic. I don't want to risk Leao. I don't want to risk Santi. He said all of that, rested them, but then at half-time, when he saw how bad the game was, he basically said, I have to bring them on. And afterwards, he admitted, I took a risk because I wanted to win. So, yeah. Ciao a tutti quelli belli e quelli brutti. That means hello, everyone, to your good-looking ones and your ugly. To the ugly ones as well. Hello, Carmelo. Buongiorno. Right, so that was the last slide. We can have go back to full screen, all of us, guys. That was a long one, wasn't it? We had a lot to cover. Let's try not to have. Well, the games just keep on coming, don't they?
Yeah, so we're gonna probably have more of these long pods as well. So, but looking forward to it. I'm sure our followers are as well.
Yeah, no, that was. I think it was really good. I think. I don't know, Inter Milan. We know there's a very good chance that if we go through against Feyenoord, we could face Inter. You did realize that, right? It's Arsenal or Inter, apparently, will be waiting for us in the next round if we go through.
Oh, no, Inter will definitely beat Arsenal. Because, it's Arsenal. They never win anything. So, but can you imagine, though? Imagine if they knocked Inter out of the Champions League. Oh, the cope levels. Jesus, that'd be divine, that would.
I mean, so I don't think Arsenal... Shane, I think, like, guys on the chat, please correct me, right? I think what it is that Arsenal or Inter are already qualified for the last 16, right? So there's going to be a draw after we play Feyenoord with the winners, and the 2 outcomes could potentially be we play either Arsenal or Inter. It's not that Arsenal and Inter play against each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone in the chat can correct me on that. I could be wrong, but I think what happens is all of us in the knockout phase have to play. Then we'll know who goes through to the last 16, and then there will be a draw as to who they'll be up against. But we're going to be put in a pot where we can go up against Inter or Arsenal. There you go, Cacciavite. By the way, Cacciavite screwdriver, just so you know.
Is it? Is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Fahadinho confirms it, so there'll be a draw, and we can either be against Arsenal or Inter. I personally... Actually, you know what? Our squad will be an interesting test against either of them. Our current squad.
It'd be great if they could knocked out Inter.
Yes.
That'd be the perfect season, pretty much.
If we knock Inter out of the Champions League.
That's it, yeah. That's as good as this season gets, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Can I another perspective is that keeping Inter in it drains their resources away from the league. So we also see it from that perspective as well.
True.
Right. First things first. We've got the first leg against Feyenoord this week. Put it on the pitch, boys. Leave everything on the pitch. Let's destroy those guys. Isn't it nice that we're talking football again, guys, though? Isn't it? We're not talking shit off the pitch so much anymore. Can I just mention one rumor, which I think is quite an interesting one? There is an Italian podcaster. You guys know I follow him, Enrico Silvestrin. He's quite militant in the way he supports the club. He did an interview the other week with Puccio on his show. And I didn't know that Silvestrin could speak English. He speaks English really well, actually. But his opinion in his podcast after that was that the January transfer window was not controlled by Redbird. He said that the January transfer window was forced onto Redbird by Elliot because, he's a real supporter of this theory that Milan is not actually owned by Redbird. I am not sure about any of this stuff. I don't think there's enough evidence. I know that the case is still ongoing, the investigation is still ongoing about that. He makes a really big deal of it, but I just want to lay it out there. This transfer window was nothing like a normal transfer window. Personally, I think the reason for that is because they were trying to make up for huge mistakes, because they know that if we had kept that squad, guys, we would not have made top 4. I am sure of it.
100%. But I think it's a bit of a... So, I think this was 100% not a Redbird window. So, therefore, you'd have to look at it and say it's Elliot. I agree with that, right? But just in the context of them not owning the club, that's a bit of a jump.
Yeah. Yeah, but he starts from that point. Everything he says starts from the point of he doesn't know that he's not sure that Redbird ever owned us. Yeah, that's all of his argument has been from day one, that Elliot did not really sell the club, is that Redbird is just this fake entity that is playing for Elliot, and everyone at the club is an Elliot person anyway. So I'm just saying that out loud because he's an interesting character to watch. And yes, he's got a beautiful...
Work for MTV UK back in the 90s.
I didn't know that.
X-Files, man. It's like X-Files level rumor.
Yeah. And yes, Gonard is right. Enrico is of the opinion that Silvestrin thinks that something's going to happen regarding ownership of the club soon enough. I'll leave that to him.
So does that mean that it's going to go to someone else, or it's going to go back to Elliot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't remember which is which, actually. I can't remember which is which. He said that something's going to come to a head regarding the stadium issue, and something's going to come to a head regarding ownership. But there was something else.
Okay, so
there was another rumor, Shane. Enrico, it was not a rumor. Enrico, he's got 75,000 subs on his channel, and he had called for a protest on the 15th of February at Casa Milan. And last week, after he called it, he said he had to cancel it because he had threats against his person from other Milan fans saying, if you go ahead with that, we're gonna do you. So just to point out, this kind of stuff can't happen. Some people said this is just Enrico Silvestrin couldn't get people to follow him to go on this protest. I think out of 75,000 subs, you could easily get a few hundred to turn up from Italy, quite easily. So it's just sad that his well-being was being threatened, and he said his life is just not. He's over 50 years old now. He says, I don't need to go into, my well-being being affected by my support of a bloody football club. It's ridiculous. So let's stop that militant behavior in terms of other fans threatening violence on fans. We're all Milan fans at the end of the day, for God's sake.
So in March, I'm assuming then that if there's going to be, depending on what Silvestrin has said, right? I'm assuming in March then it's going to basically be announced that, okay, the stadium project is going ahead with XYZ, right? And at that point, then ownership, maybe this window wasn't Redbird, it was the new ownership. Do you know what I mean? Basically dictating, kind of saying, because if you think about it, right? Because new ownership is going to say, well, if you want us to pay for, this club, right? We want to be in the fucking Champions League when we inherit it next year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that makes sense as to why they loosen the purse now.
Interesting.
Top 4 or no, because I think if you look at like what Cardinale has been consistently saying for the last 2.5 years, he's not going to give a shit about if we're not in the top 4 or not. It's just going to mean that we sell a player.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, certainly the amount spent
So-
does not match with what they've done in the past. But, you know, for me, it's the threat of no Champions League is so severe in terms of the jobs of management that they are looking after themselves. And so they somehow force that money through, right?
And that's what I'm saying. So Carmelo, let's talk Milan, just said. So players like Walker, Felix, and a 40 million striker, they don't align with what Redbird has done.
No.
So this is it's not a Redbird window. So the question is whose window is it?
I don't know. I think part of it, personally, I think it's a panic window. So it could be,
Mm.
you know, the discussion is that any purchase above 20 million needs approval from someone high up at the club, like Cardinale. Did he suddenly give a green light to this? Feels a bit odd, but I don't particularly care, to be honest. I think the club is in a much better place than it was before. I think there is still, and I want to point this out, there is still, if you remember, it's one player out, one player in. Okay, that's basically what's happened here. One player out, one player in. If Camarda had gone, we would have been without a homegrown player to be named in the Champions League squad, which would have meant we would have to drop another player from the non-homegrown player list. Yeah? So that didn't make any sense. So Camarda staying makes every sense in terms of our squad list. Sotil being signed also makes sense for that. That's a homegrown player. Once the new Champions League phase starts, let's say we get through Feyenoord, and I shall say, for the Feyenoord, for the knockout games, every club could name an additional 3 players, remember? So the 3 players that we've named are Santi, they are Felix, and they are Walker. Makes perfect sense for those to be the 3. But for those 3 to have come in, 3 have gone out, right? 3 have gone out of the squad. In the next window, let's say we go through Feyenoord, we then have to nominate the squad for the rest of the tournament. At that point, you will look at your homegrown player list, right? And we could include Sotil as a homegrown player, which then means we can add these foreign players without a concern. That's basically how it makes perfect sense to have a homegrown player. And that's why I've been banging on so much that if you want a full Champions League squad with as much choice as possible, you need the full 8 homegrown players to be named in that squad. It's the same for Serie A, guys. It affects everything, the homegrown player list. It's just a rule that exists, which is very good to protect the league, in essence. And the Champions League have put it in place. We can't name a full squad of 25 at the moment. That's it. That's my last piece on that. So yeah, come on, guys. We've got Champions League. Let's beat Feyenoord. I think we will. First leg is it away, guys? I think
it's away. Yeah.
First leg is away. They are without a striker. They have a lot of injuries. It's played on the 12th, which means it's a Wednesday. Yep, it's away, and it's at 8 o'clock at night, my time. I don't know what that is for you, Hasni. Cool.
If it's 8 o'clock,
Is that
about
like
4
3
a.m.
a.m.?
maybe.
Oh, wow.
For Jesus.
Are you staying up for it, Hasni?
If I do, I probably won't be going to work the next day.
Oh, it is brutal, isn't it? You'll be like a zombie. Yeah.
It's not worth staying up for, to be honest, honestly.
If we win, yes,
Is
it's
it?
worth it.
It might
Second leg,
It might be the first
depending on
time
how
that
the
we
first
see a
goes.
full squad, a full. If he puts out, he could put out Pulisic, Leao, Santi, Joao. You imagine that all together? That could be quite something to watch.
Well, if we win it in the first game by a significant margin, probably the job is probably done. So
Yeah,
we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
100%.
Good, fantastic, guys. Honestly, awesome to talk to you guys today. We had a very long pod. but we had a lot to get through. Thank you everyone for joining. Now let's see if I can remember. we had someone called The Rhythm, Kashavit, Carmelo, Fahadino, Gunardi. Anyone
Paul.
else I'm missing?
Paul.
Paul joined us. Thank you. To all of us who've joined us live, sorry if we missed your name, but thank you for doing so, honestly. And for those of us who are joining us later, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And Forza Milan from me.
Yeah.
Ciao a tutti.
Forza Milan, everyone. And please catch us on Apple Podcast, Spotify. It will be uploaded in a few minutes. And thanks if you're following us on there as well. All right.
Like and fucking
Yes,
subscribe.
please like and
Sì,
subscribe.
bravo Shane, bravo. Ciao.
Okay, Forza Milan, everyone.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno di Saverato è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché